This is a short tutorial on dry brushing, especially paint chipping effect, more on colored base than on black. I posted a picture last week in the Nerf Modders Welcome Facebook group and got asked to do a short tutorial, so here it is. For this you will be needing basically just one brush. I use a rather worn out hard brush. For details you may want to use a second smaller brush. And also just two colors, just some generic black acrylic paint and a silver paint of your choice. I'm using this just because I have this laying around for at least a decade now. You see I've already dry brushed some silver on the black here, but that's not so important because I'll be focusing on the blue spots right here. I'll be starting off with some black paint, just using my brush, getting a little bit on the brush, and then what you need is a paper towel, and swipe most of that paint off again. Then you'll be looking for some high spots, some corners that you can go over with the paint. If you just leave it black, you have something that looks a little bit like Borderlands cell shading, but that's not the effect I'm going for here. For the black, it's the color you will be having below the silver, so you can be a little more generous with the amount of paint that you leave on the brush. So this is not really dry brushing, because yeah. Also go over high spots like those screws here, and if you want to have a very prominent edge, you can just keep dabbing on it so you have a little bit of paint build up here. I like to especially highlight corners that are sticking out, so basically faces that you can get your blaster caught on when moving it around. I always try to imagine which places would be worn out the most if this were a real service weapon, let's say. I also like to go over small holes like this, a little bit like some vent or like stuff coming out here. I will be showing that more in detail when I come to the handguard here up front. For now, let's just get this done. There no paint, wiping it off again, and there I go. And I see I need to glue this back down, but that's not a problem for painting. And I want to highlight this place a little more, so I just go over it with a little more paint and have it go a little more aggressive. Also this face and this border here.
more paint here at the back.
You see it starts to look very, very dirty. But that's okay. Going over here a little bit more, adding a bit of wear around the screw ports, and also highlighting a little bit the left of the rest of the digicamo. Yeah. At this point here I have a little bit of a cut in because I tried to make a folding jam door that didn't work right, so this just remains, and I want to sort of hide it as a yeah, in a lot of wear and tear. So I just
Continue editing. Come back.
and this is about the look that I am going for. Komm schon. So that's it for the top section of the blaster. I'm now going to do the handguard. So now to the handguard of the blaster. Get some paint. And I will go especially heavy on this front part, because if you smack your blaster into anything, is the front of the blaster. So this will most likely have a lot of wear, especially if you compare it to other areas. This edge here on the bottom, just go a little heavy on that. And then here. And then there's these vent holes, and I always like to do a little bit of smoke, powder burns or whatever around them, because you can, if you go all this with any object, it will always catch in these holes. So in theory there could also be a little more wear on them. So I'm just swiping here over that, and the wear appears automatically near the holes.
And of course, the top here. Get some paint off.
Rinse and repeat. It doesn't have to be too consistent. You can also add some spots that you want. Some more paint chipping to occur. And you can choose them sort of randomly. You can see I've already done the other side, just to make it a bit faster, but I see I have missed it a little. So get some more paint, and there we go. And make sure that the front, this part here, also gets a little bit of black on it. Wonderful. So that's about it for the black. I'll once again wipe down my brush very carefully to... oh fuck. Yeah, that just happens. Nope, nope. Okay, you see what just happened. Let me go fix my brush. So, back to topic, just wipe it off carefully. Because we're dry brushing, we don't really need to wash off the brush before changing colors, but of course you don't want any of that color to be remaining and fucking up your next color. So for the silver I go a little bit more careful. I start with the top again and applying it to all the borders and lines. And if you have spots where you left a little more black, you can of course just go over it repeatedly with the silver to bring that out. What you want to make sure is if you have those blackened out borders and go over them with silver, that some of the black keeps shining through, so you have a sort of dual layered paint chipping effect, as if the gun was glued or black and then got the next color sprayed over it, and that didn't hold just as well as the black before.
And some more. And
at this point I'm highlighting the areas where I left it a little more black. So we have So I spent the last 10 minutes desperately trying to make room on my cell phone for this last part of the video, so I hope I get it done in time and don't run out of memory before. So we're pretty much done with the top section. Just adding a little bit more here and there. Always highlight the hardware if you don't want to hide it. Yeah, just some here and there. Ta-da. Looking good. Okay, now let's get to the front grip section. We have this front section where there's especially heavy black dry brushing, so you see I try to fill those in but leave a little bit of a black border line around that. Yeah. So this part is not really dry brushing because there's quite a bit of paint on my brush, far from dry. Now here I just go over a little bit more generously, a little less careful, because it automatically settles down on the spots where it's supposed to be. Here we have another bigger spot for paint chipping, so again try to fill that out pretty good with silver, and again leave border for the black to be seen. So a little bit here. Also again the front here. I don't know if the camera is focusing that, but the lighting should also be shitty. Yeah. Again, I apologize for the not quite optimal setup, but that's all I got done. Camera still recording, that's good. And this should be our last streaks of paint. Removing it a little bit careful because I'm applying very generous amounts, or rather careless, I could say. Here. That works. More around here. That's good. So I'll just get the rest on the blaster somewhere. Maybe try to cover a little bit of the orange spots. And we're done. So this is what it looks like now, especially here in the front. And here on the top.